to have been invited to speak, but apparently I was randomly chosen.
Oh, I don't know.
So I've been a member of the Melting Pot since about 2008, and my relationship to the Melting Pot has changed a lot actually over the years, as Claire has already alluded to. So the constant really behind it is as a member and through my business, which is called VI, stands for Value, Involve, Evolve, which I started about the same time, mystically, about the same time as the Melting Pot, even though I wasn't in Edinburgh at the time. And through that business, I offer, just to give you a little bit of a flavour for the sorts of things I do, I offer social value and social impact analysis. I think I lost count of the number of studies I've done. It's probably around about 40 by now, a number of which have been peer-reviewed. And then I also offer support for co-creation of strategies, of services, of systems, so working with the stakeholders of an organisation to help them shape their direction. And as Claire's already mentioned, I was a board member of the Melting Pot for 5 years. And I actually wasn't going to talk a lot about that. I was just going to say, you know, we'll leave that there. It was a very interesting 5 years. There were some ups and then definitely some downs as well. You know, I feel very proud to have been a small part of the journey of the Melting Pot, still being here. Towards the end of that time, I supported a social innovation conversation project, which the Melting Pot ran a national conversation. And after leaving the board, I was then contracted to the Melting Pot to support some facilitation work that we did around social innovation in Northern Ireland. And then my relationship to the Melting Pot changes again, and I was an incubee, so we won't be able to call it that anymore because the name of the program's changed. So now it's called the Good Ideas Academy, which I think is a fantastic name. The Social Innovation Incubator something or other, which was what it was called. I think it's a good change of name, but it does mean you won't be able to call people incubees because they're not going to be on an incubator. They're going to be in an academy. So you'll need to come up with another name for that. And so I was in that with a project which was called Welderly. It's now called Creative Age, and its purpose is to shine a light on aging as a positive thing, because we tend to think of it as really quite a negative thing, and older people as change makers in order to turn our aging society into a problem, into an opportunity, and not just a problem. So the Melting Pot has been really important to me in many different ways over the years. So arriving back in Scotland in late 2008, it was a really important source of connection. So I didn't actually know anybody in Edinburgh. I grew up in Glasgow and I'd been living in England for a long time. And I found the members to be really quite a diverse bunch, but also very genuine. And it was kind of easy to meet people and easy to kind of be in the space. And practically, since I actually work mostly from home, so if you haven't met me, that's why. I actually don't spend a lot of time in the Melting Pot, but it was a really useful place to host clients, so there's that kind of professional edge. And then kind of moving on to being an incubee, it was absolutely incredible for building friendships. Two of my friends sat on the front row, and sustaining my belief in an idea which I think it's going to take a long time to really come to fruition. It's quite a big idea, and it requires a lot of kind of ducks to be. I think it was Darryl was talking about lining up ducks. I'm going to have to line up a lot of ducks to make it happen. But the thing about the Melting Pot is it doesn't just support the kind of low-hanging fruit in social innovation, and that's what I really appreciate, is that actually the social innovation that the Melting Pot supports goes beyond the kind of the easy and the quick wins, and the kind of, it's not about making the Melting Pot look good. It's about, like, actually, is this really going to be a big change in society? Is it something that's actually worth fighting for? So for me, the unique thing that the Melting Pot offers is a home for people who are working to try to improve the world, just as Claire said, but without being too hung up on how you're going about it. So you can be working as a consultant, and it's still recognised that you're actually working to change the world through that. So you don't have to be running a social enterprise per se. And it's not, the other thing I like is it's not kind of achingly trendy. So some of the places you go to, it's like, I believe there's even some members who don't have like iPhones and Macs. incredible, really incredible, you know. And actually that's not to be sort of underestimated, because there's some places you go to and you just kind of, you walk in the door and you think, I don't want to be here, because it's like, I don't fit in here. And this is such a comfortable, welcoming kind of place. So you can be yourself, and you can be appreciated for that and supported and championed. And the melting pot for me, of course, is not all about Claire, but it would seem odd to conclude without recognising that the melting pot's down-to-earth tone, acceptance of people doing good in a variety of ways, and its practical nature absolutely starts with her. And it's an incredibly impressive achievement to have sustained that way of working throughout the last 9 years. And I'm sure there will be many more successful years ahead. Thank you, Claire.